Hi, this is Kevin Starkey. I haven't done a video in a while. I've been sleep processing a lot of stuff. A lot of it has been, well, my life and everything, but a big portion of it has been trying to make sense of my objective personality type that I was typed by Dave and Shan. I got my type back in May of 2020, and it was a huge shock to me. I'm one of those sleep last people who type themselves sleep first. And I thought I was play last, and I got play second. And I thought I was blast third, and I got blast first. And I went back and forth between play and blast last. I was pretty sure I was infodom, so play last. But yeah, so I had my functions correct, and I had Savior and I correct. But I didn't have anything else correct, basically. And so I have always seen myself as an extreme introvert. And so I got typed as an extreme extrovert. And that was the most shocking part of it. Savior FE, Savior Play, and Savior Blast were the hardest thing for me to process and make sense of. And I wanted to make this video now because I've been able to make sense of it in light of other things. So I wanted to just talk about that a little bit, and maybe it'll be helpful to someone. I don't know, but I'm doing it for myself to get the processing. That it's kind of a sleep report in a sense. I've processed it and made sense of it, and I know other people have struggled some with their types in the past, and I'm sure they keep doing that. But I mostly see a lot of value from the processing that I did, and I just kind of want to put it out there. You know, people can shit on it or take it and value it, whatever. I don't care. So the problem with Blast, let's start there, was I had the mindset that a big portion of Blast is teaching your known information, which you could say I'm doing here. But from the processing I've been doing on what Blast actually is, that seems like the piece of Blast that I'm doing the least of, and that's the piece of Blast that seems the most like a demon to me. It could be functionally a demon. It's not technically a demon, I guess, but that piece of Blast. See, I developed social anxiety. I got diagnosed with it in high school, and I never did anything about it until like 12 years ago or so. I realized I could probably start doing something to make it less of a problem in my life, and I made like a tiny bit of progress, maybe like 1%, and then I just stopped. And then after I got into objective personality, got typed and everything, I've made it a goal to work on my social anxiety and try to overcome it. And I would say I've done pretty good with that, so far. But I'm not around people a lot, and it's really, that's a whole thing, and I don't really want to go down that road. But the thing I'm trying to get to is that there's a part of Blast that, for me, I was thinking is all of Blast when I was trying to type myself. The teaching your known information, the moving the tribe side of Blast, that seems to be the dominant part of Blast that is always talked about and thought about. When you think of Blast, you think, oh, that's a person that teaches their known information. They're trying to move the tribe all the time. They perceive that they're responsible to do that. And I never saw myself in those terms. I don't see that I perceive myself to be responsible to teach my known information or to move the tribe at all. And I didn't when I was trying to self-type, and I don't even now after all this processing I've done. I do see parts of Blast that are Savior for me. I do see that I'm Blast overconsumed. That makes a lot of sense. I see that I take in the feelings and values of the people around me at all times on crack. And I didn't realize previously that I could do anything about that. I just was taking all this information in, thinking I don't want it, which is a whole nother, that's a whole nother issue that is unrelated necessarily to type, but I'm taking in all these values and narrowing down to an NI, and that's part of BLAST too. When NI and FE are your savior functions, you're constantly taking in what other people are valuing and feeling around you and finding patterns in that, narrowing it down to like an NI. And I'm doing that all the time. It's obvious to me. Another side of it is like jumping into things, getting started on things. They talk about that as part of BLAST. And that's absolutely something that I do. Before you consume, sometimes I will consume a little bit first, or a lot, depending on what it is. But a lot of things, it's like, let me jump into that and see what it is. I probably already know like 80-90% of it. I've said this before. And you won't know what you don't know until you actually jump into it and start seeing, oh, I don't actually know what to do in this one part here. So now I know what I need to go consume. It seems like an efficient way to do things is jump in, try it, see what see what you don't know. You probably know a lot. And if you spend the whole time consuming ahead of time, it seems like a waste of time to me. But I can see I have that side of BLAST as a savior. That seems obvious. And I also see that I use self-motivation. I'm blasting to myself in my mind in all sorts of situations to get me motivated to do things, to get me out of a funk or whatever. I'm blasting it at myself all the time. So, and part of what I thought was sleep, which is why I typed myself sleep first, is I have an inner monologue that's going all the time. It's going 100 miles an hour all day from the moment I wake up. I'm talking to myself in my head. I'm saying my thoughts over and over and over, like different thoughts, but I'm processing things, but it's not me information, which was the missing thing that I wasn't getting. So I'm doing a lot of consumer reporting in my mind. I'm doing a lot of blasting in my mind. I'm consuming it, taking it in, and that does trigger sleep, but it's most of what I'm doing in my mind is not me information. I would say it's technically a part of sleep. And it definitely seems like a savior to me because I'm doing it all the time and it's effortless and I don't have any aversion to doing it. I'm not tired by doing it. I do it all the time. People could argue, well, it's technically not sleep because it's not you information. I'm not processing myself, my identity. I'm processing the outside world. I'm processing other things. Okay, well, whatever. I'm not fighting anyone on any of that. I'm doing it all the time in my head, and it's NI and TI together, so you can call it whatever you want. But so all of this stuff I'm doing in my head all day, I was calling all of that sleep, which is why I thought I had to be sleep first, because I'm in my head all the time, and I'm processing stuff. It's not me stuff, but so that's part of why. So the one piece of BLAST that, from my vantage point, in 2.5 years of processing, and a whole knowledge of who I've been for over 50 years, there's a gaping hole where this teaching your known information should be. And also some of the play stuff, but I'll get into that later. And then all of the stereotypes of FE people being, martyring yourself in the tribe. You see someone suffer, you help them, you're very touchy-feely, like this savior FE stuff. I don't relate to any of that stuff. I don't do any of that stuff. I was brought up, you could say it was emotionally, psychologically abusive, that feelings are a bad thing and guys aren't supposed to have feelings, and if someone's having feelings, they should fix themselves, leave the situation, get their shit together, and come back. Guys just don't acknowledge feelings in other people except to, chastise them, get them, to take care of themselves and fix themselves. So I was brought up with a very negative, I would say it was very traumatic to my FE, and I've developed an aversion or a hatred, I guess you could say, for my own FE, which makes it very difficult to see it as a savior. So I would say the extroverted side of Blast, which would be the teaching your own information side of it, is something that I just developed TI reasons to not do that because I saw it as a bad thing to do because it would involve using the FE. It's like, how do you teach your own information to someone if you have FE without using FE? It makes it very difficult. So I figured out a way to survive and minimize using it, but I was using all the other parts of Blast, which I wasn't able to see until I did all this processing. So from my perspective, from my vantage point, that part of Blast seems like a demon to me. It's something my brain says I'm not allowed to do. I don't have permission to do it. It's not how I'm wired, apparently, because I was typed with Blast first. But functionally, my TI reasons that I have developed from a very early age were that I'm not supposed to do that. I'm not supposed to do FE. And I just downloaded those beliefs from taking in how my parents were raising me, and they each had different ideas about who I should be and what kind of a person a man is, how, what do they do, what do they don't do. I took in all of this, took in a little bit of what she's telling me, what he's telling me, some of my own thing, and found a middle way between all of that. And a lot of it involved not being a feeling person. And so, I developed, alexithymia at a very early age. I have no memory of ever having an actual awareness of my own feelings. I masked that I did. I pretended that I did because everyone else is doing it and I didn't want to stand out. But I have no ability to perceive what my emotions are, ever. And I think it has a lot to do with that. And seeing myself as a feeler is just the most ridiculous thing to me. It's like, how could I possibly, my life, my hobbies, everything revolves around being a thinker. And getting typed as a feeler was just a lot to process for me because I don't see my own feelings. I'm overwhelmed by other people's feelings, which that's probably pointing to being a feeler. I mostly want everyone around me to not have feelings, to suppress them, to take control of them, and not express them. It's a very toxic way to be. I get that, and I'm in the process of working on that. So from my perspective, it seems like I'm missing that piece of Blast, the teaching and the moving people. I have no desire to do that. I'm doing it here. It's not that I'm never doing it. I'm doing it 1% of the time. And I'm doing it here because I want to do it, because I want to get out this concept that you may not see yourself as a savior Blast person because of trauma or whatever, because maybe you're missing that extroverted piece of it because you've suppressed it because of trauma and trying to deal and trying to survive and all of that. And then, so that's kind of it on Blast. I see that it's a savior in these other ways, and apparently it should be a savior in that one way that it's not functionally, at least. So that is a huge portion of a huge reason why I struggled so hard to see that as a savior. And then some of the parts of it that aren't really extroverted parts of it, like taking in and then motivating myself, that seemed like sleep to me, so I was mistaking what that was. And just I guess narrowing down to an NI of the feelings and values of other people, that sort of, it's happening in your head. So I was interpreting some of that, I think, as sleep also. And then just Savior FE was hard for me to comprehend because I had typed myself as lead TI mostly because FE seemed like the biggest demon in my life. It's I have a hard time connecting with people. Um, just all of the stereotypes of Savior FE, I didn't relate to. I said I'm not doing any of those things. Even now, I understand I'm not doing those things. I do have the thoughts of doing those things, and then I don't do them, and I don't see that I'm responsible to do them. I see that I'm responsible to not do them because of these TI beliefs that I have. I have these reasons that I've had forever that say I'm a guy and I'm not supposed to do those things. So I just have so much struggle in my life around the FE that it seemed like it had to be the biggest problem in my life. And I do see it as the biggest problem in my life. My inability to use it properly and to see it as a savior because of all these beliefs I have. It's been a lot of processing of my past and things that happened and understanding how it could be a savior, but it functions as a demon because of these beliefs that I developed a long time ago. And then, so, yeah, I mean, I see that it's a savior in the sense that I'm so hyper aware of what other people are feeling and valuing all the time. I've said in the past, it's like I have this, radar that's just constantly picking up this stuff, and I don't want any of this information. I'm not asking for it. I'm not trying to get it, but I've discovered from this processing that there is a point where I can spot where my brain is starting to pick up this stuff, where I can give myself permission. See, this doesn't have anything to do with you. You don't have to, pay attention to this. Take this in. And instead of what would be the pattern all my life is this stuff is coming at me constantly. I didn't realize I had a way to block it out or not take it in. I'd be overwhelmed by it because it's coming in and I've got these beliefs that I'm not supposed to do anything about it. Other people's feelings are bad. I'm not supposed to be a feeling person, and then all this stuff is coming at me all the time. And my beliefs are I'm not supposed to do anything about this. And it's just overwhelming to me. So then I choose to not be around people, or anytime I'm around people, I'm so stressed out about it and I don't want to do it. And I always said that I had to be an actor whenever I was around people because I'm masking. I'm trying to block out all this stuff and not do anything with it. So it's very traumatic, and it's made me just a miserable person, I think, in a lot of ways. So I've had to learn, actually, I can be around people and not have to take that stuff in. I have to give people permission to have feelings, and it's okay to have them, and it doesn't have anything to do with me, and I can just let that go and not have to pay attention to it, or my awareness can stop at just the instant of being aware, someone's having feelings over there. None of my business. They have permission to do that. I have permission to not have anything to do with it. And that has been a process of learning how to do that. And that's made it a lot better, although I'm still not around people a lot, but that's definitely helped in a lot of ways. And you can obviously see that from that, all that stuff I said about Blast and then FE, that play is also, it falls into the same kind of category. The pinging back and forth with people, like brainstorming kind of aspect of play. When I look back at the 52 years of my life, this is like a gaping hole where play should be if I have savior play. That side of it, that part of play. Which is why, to me, it was like, there's no fucking way I could have savior play. I'm never doing that piece of play that I was seeing as mostly what play is. But being willing to jump into things, some of that might be Blast, but if the dog escapes the yard, I would run down the street like immediately, trying to catch it. That could be play. There's a lot of different ways that I've begun to see. Yeah, I am open to doing things. Maybe not the pinging and the, brainstorming and like getting ideas from all these different people, taking it, adding to it. I don't do that, or I do very, very little of that. If I'm in a situation where people are doing that, if it's a topic that I'm interested in, and if I judge that the people are safe for me to interact with, and if there's only maybe 2 or 3, 4 at the most, I might be willing to, sorry, I banged the mic. I might be willing to, ping a little bit with people, but it's not something that, and see, again, you have to be using your FE in those situations if you have FE and you're doing play. And I've got these beliefs, that it's not, that I shouldn't do it, that it's wrong, that it's bad, that it's frivolous, all these ideas, that it's childish, that it's, effeminate, all these very negative beliefs that I developed, from upbringing. And that's not to blame anyone, at this point. I need to get my shit together. It's on me to figure this shit out and get my shit together. So I'm trying to do that, and it's very hard. It's these are deep-seated beliefs that have been there forever, and overturning them, challenging them, getting rid of them is freaking hard. And I haven't had much luck in it. I can have an intellectual, discussion with it about it, and it seems obvious that this is terrible and I shouldn't have these beliefs and yada yada yada. But getting rid of them, dislodging them, is not easy. I'm gonna have to do a lot of like cognitive behavior therapy to try to work on that and overcome all that. But I'm not there yet. So it seems to me that there are parts of consume that I'm missing as well, like the consume reporting part of it, which is more of the extroverted side of consume. I don't see that I do that. And I have consume third, so I guess it's not too surprising that I'm not doing that. But I do. I had typed myself as consume second because to me, I seem like I'm consuming so much. But then when I look at the Savior consume people, I'm like, okay, these motherfuckers are consuming like insane amounts. And I clearly don't have the time or the patience to consume that much. I am consuming a lot from my perspective. And when people want to throw more stuff at me to consume, I'm just like, yeah, fuck you, I'm not consuming all that. I don't have any space for it. I have to give up something that I'm already consuming, and I'm not going to do that. So consume third makes a lot of sense to me. And double masculine makes a whole lot of sense because I get a little, Hulk syndrome when consuming something and someone wants to interrupt me because basically they're saying, stop consuming what you're consuming and consume this other thing that I have that I want you to consume. And it takes a little bit of effort to get in that zone where you're really consuming. And then when someone interrupts that, my thinking is, I got to now get back to where I just was. I have to pause, be a decent human being to you for a few minutes, and then go. And that's difficult. All of that, the whole thing. So double masculine ST consume third makes complete sense. And then sleep last. That still is mind-boggling to me because if you break sleep up like I can break blast up into different pieces, it seems like I'm doing a ton of different parts of it and in a savior state. I'm processing the outside world a lot, and it's effortless, and I do it all the time, and I have no aversion to doing it. I'm not like, oh, I never want to do that, and then I write code for a living. I'm constantly in my head puzzling out, okay, if I need to do this and that, but I can't do that because of this. And it's like, I breathe that. I do that all the time. And it's effortless. I have no aversion to doing that whatsoever. So to me, I'm doing a lot of NT sleep, the pieces of it, maybe not the processing me stuff, at least before getting typed and doing all this processing, what I ended up doing was seeing, okay, yeah, I am clearly not processing me information very often. But then, this is a sidetrack for a second, the sleep last crashes that everybody talks about and all the stereotypes about being sleep last, I never related to any of them. I don't have these big sleep last crashes, especially the way that other people talk about it. I can point to like 3 or 4 instances in my life. Well, my parents divorced. I processed that. Different stages where things happened and I had to process it. I don't perceive them as like some big crash or anything like that. I mean, they didn't wreck my life. They didn't do it. I processed it. It's not a thing. So where was I? So analyzing how I was already doing parts of sleep, like processing the outside world, writing code. I took the time to understand, okay, what am I doing in those situations? How am I doing it? And then what I started to do was, okay, let me take note of the me information that I'm catching and I need to process. I can see what my brain does in those situations when those thoughts arise. Typically in the past, what it would do is, oh, I don't need to think about that right now. I don't need to process that. It's not important. I'll push it away and then forget about it. And maybe it would come up again and I would think, oh yeah, I should probably think about that, but I don't need to think about that. And I would push it away again. And that's been the process. And then if something, big comes up, I would actually end up processing it. So it wasn't like I was never processing me information. I would process some, not all, probably not as much as I should, but definitely not. So now I'm like, okay, I know I'm processing the outside world all the time, and I know I'm writing code a lot. And so that pattern of what I'm doing and how I do it, I got that unlocked. It's easy, and I don't mind doing it. So let me start catching this me information that I actually should start processing. And I got all these journals. I got one right here. I got another one right here at my desk. I didn't plan this. They just are here on my desk all the time. I have 2 upstairs where I sit and watch TV sometimes, or be on the computer, or where I work. I have 3 journals up there. I try to have journals everywhere. And when I have thoughts arise about me information, I'm like, oh, that's the stuff I used to push away. And this is the stuff I want to start catching and processing. I start writing. If I have time there, maybe I'll pick it up and take 10, 15, 20 minutes to actually journal about it, which helps me process it. Because what happens is I end up blasting something, consuming it, seeing, oh wait, there's something not accurate here. And it's a whole process that triggers my NT. I've figured out this is what I'm doing in my head, and I can do it on paper, or I can just do it in my head. Sometimes it's a bit easier to write it down, because putting it into words is an extra step there where I have to, if it's just in my head, sometimes it's a little trickier to process that way, but it's not impossible. I do it on walks with the dog, where I'm just in my head processing it. But so I just figured out, okay, what am I doing to process the outside world and write code, and start feeding that process me information and doing exactly what I'm doing in those other situations on the me information, and process it. And it's easy and it's effortless. And I immediately started seeing the value in it, because I'm taking this info I have about me, I'm doing this processing, and I get new information on the outside. That's the output from this process. New info about me that I didn't have previously from doing this processing. And that's hugely valuable, because then I can actually use that information to update. It's like, oh, crap, okay, I see that I'm doing this. I see why I had that belief, and I see why it was wrong. Or I see that I have this pattern of my life. I'm always doing these things, and I don't really want that. And so I see why that developed, and I can see now what I need to do to fix that. So I can start building new habits to fix those things. That's hugely valuable, and it was apparent immediately. And I immediately started developing these habits, and it's taken some tweaking. And let me try it this way, and that's probably where the blast comes in. Oh, let me try this. Oh, that works pretty good. Maybe this part of it, but not that part. And oh, now I see there's this other thing over here that I hadn't known about. Oh, let me try that, and that sort of thing. Where I'm trying different kinds of journaling. Just spotting, because I have a busy mind, and it's like constantly going like 100 miles an hour. And I wanted to start tracking, like, what are these things I'm thinking about? What are these things I'm processing? And giving myself permission to not process these things. And now I'm talking really fast, so it's probably apparent that I have ADHD. But I have monkey mind, like insanely busy thoughts, like racing constantly. And I'm trying to get control of that. And I'm not sure where that's going to go, but I've started meditating again, which I had taken a big break from that, and that's hugely valuable. But it's helping me slow down, which I can see I don't like to slow down. It's it seems frustrating and boring to go at a very slow pace mentally. My brain wants to be going like it's like a race car trying to drive in 5 miles an hour in first gear. My brain is just like, why are we going so slow? What's going on here? Why, this doesn't make any sense. Let's go. Let's stop this thing and go faster. Shift gears. Let's go. So I don't know how I'm going to get control of that, but I'm starting to track what's going on in my mind and trying to find ways to slow it down. But I haven't figured it out. So that's stuff I'm trying to process now. So yeah, this is plenty long enough of a video. I didn't know I was going to talk this long, but I didn't know I was going to touch on all those subjects. But yeah, so if you're self-typing, you haven't been typed yet, and you're like, yeah, there's no way I could be play Blast or Blast play Saviors because I'm so shy and I'm introverted and I have social anxiety and I never talk to anyone and I avoid people and I'm in my head all the time. Yeah, that was me. And I honestly still see myself as extremely introverted. I just am using a different definition, I think, than Dave and Shan. I think they have a unique definition of it. Maybe mine is just a lot of social anxiety and a lot of shyness, which, but also I get drained by being around people, which a lot of that has to do with my FE and my terrible relationship with it, and just all this stuff coming at me that I'm not wanting and not doing anything with, trying to throw in the trash. All of this collecting of values and feelings, like it's like loud, radio blasting at me, where I'm just wanting peace and quiet. So yeah, I just see people as so draining. So it's like, how could I be this kind of person who likes partying, likes being the center of attention and stuff? I don't want any of that stuff, and I never have. Like my entire life has been trying to avoid being the center of attention, trying to avoid people, being exhausted, being around people, not wanting to go like big events where there's a lot of people, just one-on-one, maybe two, maybe three people at the max, and rarely, that's like once a month max, maybe once every 6 months, be around that many people, like 3 to 4 or 5 people max. And then even when I'm around people, I'm not connecting with them because of a lot of social anxiety and a lot of trauma and stuff like that. So I have a hard time understanding how to connect with people. People are sharing feelings in order to connect, and I'm not doing that. I hold all that stuff back because first of all, I'm not aware of my emotions and feelings. And second of all, I've got all these beliefs from my earliest days that I'm not supposed to do the feeling thing. So that makes it difficult to connect with people. So I get that, and it's not that I don't want to connect with people. I see the value in connecting with people, and I want to try to figure out how to do it. Because for me, I just want to be able to exchange information with people and then realize we have similar interests, realize that you're trustworthy to share information with. And then I think connection should just happen magically. And we shouldn't have to do the feelings thing. So that's my messed up psychology as it is today. So if you watch this long, thanks for watching. I don't know if I'm going to be posting a lot. I'd like to do more videos, but I mostly do them for me. And if I see the need to do one, then I might want to do one. So I would say like, share, and subscribe. I've tried to do that cheesy thing in the past, but do what you like. And thanks for watching. Peace.